All right, Andrew Easton here at the ESUCC, and I'm grateful to Jane Davis of Hershey Public Schools for joining me for a conversation on attendance in remote learning. When you get into that space, it's kind of tough sometimes to know exactly how to mark different things, whether a student was there or not, if their camera was on, or if they dropped out, or if they came in a little bit later. And I'm sure we could even explore tardies and those kind of things too in this space. So we don't necessarily have to have any answers for folks, Jane, but maybe let's entertain some things to think about so we can talk the nuance of some of these situational instances that have come up maybe in your experience, and then think through that kind of together, just in an informal dialogue here.
Sure, I think it is a very difficult topic because in a teacher's mind, attendance means that student is right in front of them. You know, in a normal day, that student's right in front of them and the teacher sees that person. But in a remote setting, that's not often the case. You know, they might have their not have their video on because their internet isn't good enough to be able to connect. They may also not be able to fit into the time frame. You know, they may be having to take care of younger brothers and sisters during that scheduled time, and they need the ability to do their activities, you know, later in the day. So it is a very difficult time. I think the teacher's planning and how the teacher approaches the lessons is going to be a real key to that. You know, they could maybe make sure that the assignments they project out to the students are more interactive, or maybe they take a picture of it and upload it later in the day, or maybe they, if they're older students, they utilize the discussion board feature of the learning management system and rely more on discussion board, which would document dates, times, things like that. So it is a very difficult scenario for the classroom teacher.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's also challenging when you're in, let's say, Zoom or Google Meet or whatever your video conferencing platform is, to take attendance while you're also delivering instruction and trying to, facilitate the learning activities, because we're on a shortened time frame often, and so you want to make the most of every moment. And so I don't know if there's been any comments you've heard from your teachers regarding maybe some insights how they've gone about that, or what that's maybe looked like.
Yes, the teachers have talked about it, and we've tried to instill upon that teacher to think outside the box just a little bit, and look at varying ways to maybe track attendance. You also could have other forms of communication. You could have the student email you a short answers or something that might do tracking a little bit. But I think basically you just want to make sure that students engaged with the lesson on a, somewhat regular basis, so that days don't go by without a student, logging into their learning management system to look at content.
Sure. And as you bring that up, that there are instances where maybe we all of a sudden see a drop off in learner attendance. Since we're on this topic, I guess, what are some things maybe that you've seen in Hershey Public Schools as the next step follow-up when we haven't seen a learner for 3 or 4 days, and maybe there hasn't been communication from a parent regarding, or guardian regarding why they've not been there?
Yes, so we've actually made a conscious effort to reach out to the student, reach out to that parent on a daily basis. So we'll have 3 different people, calling or checking on people, and we've been running reports that show a consecutive 2-day absence, a consecutive 3-day absence, so no one falls through the cracks and we don't miss anyone. So we are actually changed our student information system to generate reports that shows multiple days absence, so that we can make sure we reach out and talk to the parent or the student, depending upon the age. Mainly make sure we talk to the parent, though, so that we know why that student's absent.
Yeah, well, and that's great that you all have those kind of measures in place. And we'd certainly recommend that administrators are thinking through that and working with their staff and leadership groups to try to put the best plans they can in place. But as you mentioned earlier, the thinking here is so situational and has to just really be reflective of the conversations that you're having with the individuals on an instance by instance basis. Take that, multiply the number of students in a school and absences and issues. I'm sure that's a little overwhelming, but Thanks for giving us a couple insights here today. Anything kind of last?
I would just say communication. You have to just stay in communication with the parent, and you might have to bring on additional people that help with that or change roles to be able to accommodate those things. But I think that it can be done. It just takes a little bit of thought, outside of the box thinking.
Well, terrific. Thank you so much for your insights. We really appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.